The group that has to do it in an obligatory way, they turn into prey animals and they produce a lot of stress hormones. So now they're frozen and they have the spirit of a prey animal.
Okay.
But the people who do it voluntarily, they're now a lot more like predators. They're a lot more like it's voluntary and it's challenging. And so the whole pattern of activation changes, and this cascades all the way down to the genetic level. So if you take on a confrontation voluntarily, you turn on genes that wouldn't otherwise be turned on, and they code for new proteins and build you really from the cells upward into a whole different creature. So this attitude towards challenge, which is developed if you are confronting competition, that attitude towards challenge determines even the way you develop physically, much less spiritually and emotionally.
I love that so much, because it reminds me of one thing I love to say is we get the choice of living a have to or a get to life.
Yeah, right.
Like even for sports, that you could see certain teammates, people I play with or against, their joy might be taken at times because they would feel like, man, I have to go do this. I have to get up early. And you could see burnout versus those that, man, their mentality, even though it could get hard and disappointing and frustrating and there's trials and tribulations, but I get to do this.
Right.
There's a difference. And you know, in this faith journey, it's not a have to, it's a get to.
Yeah, right.
And it totally changes the mindset. It changes the joy in it. The difference between, man, I have to go do this every day, or I get to go do this.
Yeah, right.
I get to go do these things.
Well, that's the difference between gratitude and resentment, right? So you could think, well, pride is a terrible sin. It's a terrible missing of the mark, and it makes people arrogant and self-centered and bitter and incapable of learning. So that's all pride. And the religious practice that's the antithesis of that is humility. And that's something like, no matter where I am and what I'm doing, I have a lot more to learn, and I'm grateful for the experience to learn. And that might even be when I'm radically corrected and fail, right? I want to be grateful for that because it's an opportunity.
Yes.
And that's something you have to practice. And then with regards to gratitude, it's the same thing. It's like I have this difficult enterprise in front of me, and I could regard that as an impediment and a rebuke, or I could say, well, I'm going to look for the way in which this is a remarkable opportunity, and I'm going to be grateful for that, right? So that's a practice that makes you immune to resentment. So to be immune to pride and resentment, that's the target of much genuine religious practice, so that you continue to learn and so that you don't become bitter. And then that seems to produce this transformation that we already described, which is, you know, it makes itself manifest psychologically, but it cascades all the way down to the cellular level. And that is a matter of attitude. And so you said your parents were very good at that, and that they had you